Hey, on today's episode, we're going to be talking about Hasbro's Power Rangers Lightning Collection, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Morphed April O'Neil, and Morphed Michelangelo figures. The TMNT first appeared in Eastman and Laird's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mirage Comics, Volume 1, Number 1, back in May of 1984. The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers first appeared as Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger in Japan on February 21st of 1992, and then first appeared here in America as the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers officially on August 28th, 1993. And again, though this is not the first time the TMNT and the Power Rangers have crossed paths, the books that these figures are based on was released via Boom Studios in December of 2019. The box art looks really cool. It goes in line with the other Power Rangers Lightning Collection figures, so if you were collecting those, they ran this style of box for a while, and it was really cool, and I loved it. But I think they moved away from it towards the end, and that's a little unfortunate. But nevertheless, this works really well with that for our mint on card collectors. But that's not what we're here to do today. We're here to get these figures free from their plastic prison and see what we think about Mike and April. All right, so these look fantastic. I mean, they literally look like they just jumped off the page and onto the shelf. Like, just so good. Hasbro's done just such an amazing job with these. Just first impressions, I don't know. And then seeing them in the package, you knew that they looked good, but then getting them in your hands, they feel great. Mikey is nice and chunky, just like the rest of the turtles in this line, because they're all basically the same action figure, just different colors and different helmet and different sash or belt or whatever, or lack thereof. But the basic buck of the figure, they're all the same. And April just happens to be a reuse of some of the other Power Rangers lady figures that they've put out in their Lightning Collection line. And she's really cool. She does feel a little smaller, than frame-wise at least, but not like in a negative way, just slightly different, I guess, than the first release of the Pink Ranger. But that could just be like, I don't know, maybe that's just me. The sculpts are excellent. And given that the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger suits are pretty flat, there's just not much there as far as sculpt-wise that you can, like, accentuate. And that's kind of how I prefer my Power Rangers. I don't like the overly musculature-looking teenagers with attitude, I guess. I kind of prefer the more, like, slim look. And thankfully, the Lightning Collection accommodated that look very well. But the thing I forgot is that in the books, April didn't want the skirt version of the pink Mighty Morphin suit because she just didn't want it, which is really cool because, you know, I've heard that, you know, variety is the spice of life or something. So that's cool, but it's nice to, you know, just see something different. But we'll talk more about that later. The shell on Michelangelo has some very nice detail in it that helps make it pop, and the gold bands on the arm also help. And after having these for so long, I just noticed on my Leo and Dawn review that the gold lines on the top part of the shell and the gold armbands are nods to the dragon shield. I thought that like, I understood that it was, oh, they have armor on and Power Rangers have golden armor, but I guess I just didn't connect the dots like that, like all the way. Like, I didn't form that line of symmetry entirely until I was doing my review for Leo and Dawn. And now that I have, it's like, oh, this makes so much more sense. And it's one of those things that's right in front of your face, but you just miss it. And yeah, but that just further accentuated my love for these figures, and it looks amazing. The paint on mine is pretty well done. The colors pop on their own based on the suit design, but again, the gold color on Mike does pop, but it's not quite as striking as it is on the other turtles, but still, it's still pretty cool. And I always love seeing Michelangelo in yellow. I guess I have an attachment to the arcade cabinet version of Michelangelo that tended to be a little bit more yellow than orange, and something about that was very appealing to me on this figure as well. Both figures come with multiple alternate hands. Both figures also come with alternate unhelmeted heads. April comes with a video camera, a microphone, the power bow, an energy arrow, and the blade blaster, whatever you want to call it. Mikey comes with 2 nunchucks and an attack effect. All right, now let's take a look at the articulation you're going to get out of Morphed Michelangelo. So starting at the head, you got 360 at the neck. You got some excellent range of motion all the way around. They can look up quite a bit. They can look down a considerable amount as well. And I believe there is a joint in the neck as well as in the head. So, or at least, the head's on a ball joint, but the neck also has a joint. So excellent range of motion in the head area, which is fantastic. You have some butterfly joints there, but they're a little hard to do with the way the figure's set up with the shell around it and everything, but it is doable, and there is some movement there. You get 360 at the shoulders. You also can raise it up a little bit. You got 360 at the bicep swivel. You got double jointed elbows, and you get 360 at the wrist, as well as some hinge action there. And then moving on down to the chest, you can see that there is a split for the chest articulation, so there is some wiggle room, but not a whole lot. And with the chest armor being there, it's kind of hard to get them using that bit of articulation too much, but your mileage may vary on that. Moving on down to the legs, excellent range of motion in the legs, huge Van Damme splits. You got thigh swivel, 360 thigh swivel at the thigh, double jointed knees, and you have a calf swivel, which is always cool and also kind of scary usually when you're not entirely sure. You're like, let me try this, and you hear the snap. So yeah, but that is definitely there. And then you get a ankle rocker, which is fantastic. Full awesome range of motion in the ankles. And I believe that is all the articulation you're gonna get. I'm checking then the wrist because I was like, wait, or the forearms. I was like, I didn't check those. But yeah, no, those don't move. Those are stationary. So yeah, back again. Here we go. This is all the articulation you're gonna get out of Morphed Michelangelo. So let's move on to April. All right, so Morphed April is pretty much just the Pink Ranger from the Lightning Collection, except without the skirt, which is awesome. And they mentioned that in the comics, which I always thought was a neat choice. And yeah, so here we go. So starting at the head, excellent range of motion, 360 at the neck. There's a joint right there that you can see, which is, that's cool. And so they can look down quite a bit, and they can look up quite a bit to summon their, Zords or whatever. And yeah, so there's that. You get the butterfly joint in the shoulder chest area, which works pretty well here. You get 360 at the shoulder. It goes out that much. There's no bicep cut swivel here, but it's all right. You get swivel here at the actual elbow, which is kind of neat. And I don't know, I might actually like that more. And then you get some bendy action as well at the elbow. You get 360 at the wrist as well as the hinge action there. Moving on to the chest, you get chest articulation, which is 360 at the chest, and it rocks, which is awesome. And the actual I don't know, what would this be, just like the waist area, I guess, does have a hinge, so you can bend her back and forth, which sounds weird to say out loud, but here we are. And then pretty good split articulation right there, good range of motion. You got front and back kicks and everything that you need to be a Power Ranger. You got thigh swivel, you got double jointed knees, you got calf cut, and an ankle rocker, which is always welcome. And I do believe that is all the articulation you're going to get out of Morphed April. According to how the turtles are usually drawn, they tend to be shorter, and that is my preference. And so for this part, I would like to say that the turtles normally stand between 4.5 and 5.5 inches tall, with Donatello usually being the tallest and Michelangelo being the shortest usually, but it varies. And they usually weigh around 180 pounds. This figure of Michelangelo stands at 6 inches tall and weighs around 4.5 ounces. April O'Neil is usually depicted at around 5.5 feet tall and weighs, well, I don't think we'll talk about her weight. I don't want to be an Aunt Agatha or anything. This figure, however, stands at around 6 3/4 inches tall and weighs around 2 ounces. So now let's see how they compare to some other figures you might have in your collection. Here they are with NECA's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1987 animated series April 2.0. Here they are with the NECA 1987 animated series Catwoman April. Here they are with the NECA Mirage Comics Splinter. Here they are with Hasbro's G.I. Joe Classified Baroness figure. Here they are with Hasbro's Marvel Legends Wolverine. Here they are with Jada Toys Mega Man. Here they are with Jazzware's Fortnite Beef Boss. Here they are with NECA's Alf. Here they are with NECA's Return to New York Michelangelo. Here they are with Super 7's Donatello. Here they are with the NECA knockoff colored bandana Mirage Comics Michelangelo. Here they are with NECA's Mirage Comics Casey Jones. Here they are with the NECA 1987 animated series Michelangelo. Here they are with the Hasbro Power Ranger Lightning Collection Mighty Morphin Pink Ranger. Here they are with the Hasbro Power Rangers Lightning Collection Mighty Morphin Yellow Ranger. And here they are with the Power Rangers Lightning Collection Goldar. I gotta give it to Hasbro and IDW just for actually caring enough about these characters and these properties to give fans the mashup, the what's the word I'm looking for? Like amalgamation. Well, no, that's not it. It's crossover. That's the word I'm looking for. Jeez, it was on the tip of my tongue and I was dancing all around it. I mean, I guess this is an amalgamation, sort of, at least with the Turtles suits, but not quite. But it's crossover is definitely what I was looking for. Anyway, they've handled this crossover, whether you enjoyed the story or not. I think the book looked really good, and I enjoyed the story a lot, and the suit designs are great, and I just think that they've been doing a fantastic job with these properties and combining them for their crossovers and treating both equally and making it really something that's substantial and not something that's just like a throwaway cash grab kind of thing. And now, this is not the first time, though, that the Turtles have crossed over with the Power Rangers. In fact, that happened back in the late 90s, where the live-action Ninja Turtles Next Mutation show crossed over with Power Rangers in space. And unless I'm mistaken, that was the first official time that the Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles crossed over. And I'm bringing that up because on my podcast, Turtle Soup, where we go through the entire history of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from the beginning until, well, currently, we are in the middle of the Next Mutation series, and we're about to be talking about the crossover episodes with Power Rangers, and so I thought that'd be kind of neat to have some, like, channel synergy, I guess it is. Regardless, let's talk about how awesome these figures look and feel and are and other words. So these figures, just like the other figures in this line, look fantastic and are an excellent representation of what's depicted on the page. They are super fun to pose and play with, and also just having them on the shelf, they still manage to look cool. I'm sure that some of that is bias on my part, as I was the prime demographic for both properties when they came out, and so most of my life, they've just been cool. So having them both together is just a winning combination for me. Now, the whole thing about this mashup can be seen simultaneously, I guess, as a tangible manifestation of a kid's what-if dreams or some corporate cash grab, but thankfully, these feel like the former. Especially with the attention to detail, like in all the nods to the dragon shield on the shell and the helmet, and all of that just culminates into a really cool figure. On that note, unfortunately, like with all of the other Lightning collection, the scale doesn't really lend itself to having super detailed sculpted and painted morphers, and that sucks. Especially considering that it's literally the catalyst for their powers to activate. But thankfully, there's enough good stuff on this figure as a whole that you don't usually get distracted by it enough to notice it for too long. You just kind of move past it. And as I mentioned, the helmets look fantastic, but the head sculpts on the alternate unmasked heads, or unhelmeted heads, I should say, are capital, especially April's. I was hoping that since Hasbro made these that I could use her head as a swap out for the strange looking G.I. Joe Classified cover girl's head, but I think it's a little more than a simple swap with those two figures and kind of gave up on it for now. But if anyone has a tutorial on that, hit me up in the comments. I really like her face sculpt and her hair looks great. And so I usually keep her without her helmet on, but also because otherwise she looks just like the Pink Ranger, but without a skirt, which was an awesome design choice in the books. Not that I have a problem with the skirt, but again, diversity is nice. And now is probably as good a time as any to have a brief history lesson on skirts and Power Rangers. So if you didn't know, the yellow Zoo Ranger was actually a male in the series, and then we gender swapped them to be female in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers version. But regardless of all that, that is why when we got the series, Trini's suit didn't have the skirt that Kimberly's suit did, because they had to have it match with the reused footage. And so I always thought that was cool that like there was a girl that didn't wear the skirt and one that did, because everyone's got options and, you know, do what you want to do. And that's awesome. And so moving on, more differences with Power Rangers is that this April's Pink Ranger helmet has a slightly different shape to it than the original Lightning Collection Mighty Morphin Pink Ranger's helmet. Not only in color, this one is a little bit lighter, I think, or more muted maybe, but it's also wider, like wider. Like, especially if you look at it from top down, you can see that it does differ. And so there's that if you were wondering about that. And then moving on to the accessories, they're all really cool. I love all of April's and really appreciate them giving her an actual weapon as well as the camera gear. The effects parts are cool, and I find again that I hardly use them, but again, that's on me because I don't take the time to retrieve them from the little bins that I put them in. But I am super thankful that Hasbro includes them, and they're really neat. When I do find the time to use them, they're very useful, and I can throw them in a lot of things, so I need to move them closer to my photo booth, but, you know, whatever. But still, really cool to have them here. And I also love all the hands. Again, Michelangelo's hands can be swapped with the other turtles because they're basically the same mold. However, we don't have a pointing hand, a dedicated pointing hand, but I don't know how a pointing hand would look with only 3 fingers, so that's a little strange. But nevertheless, that's my normal gripe for almost every action figure review. Another gripe I have is with the nunchucks. Now, this is just like a personal thing for me. I'm not the biggest fan of plastic nunchucks. I get that they are kind of hard to do, but like, I don't know. I think I'd always prefer a metal chain to a plastic one. And at this point, I think every character that gets an action figure made of them that has their weapon as a nunchuck needs to have the in-motion swinging plastic effect for every nunchuck. It's always cool when a Thor figure comes with it, and a few Mikey figures have come with it. I just think that needs to be standard for all nunchuck users. If you agree with me, let me know in the comments. Having said all that, these figures are a ton of fun. They're great on their own, and they're like, just if you just bought one set, they're fantastic. If you buy this whole line, they go really well with one another. They also go super well with the Lightning Collection Power Rangers figures, as they were intended to do. And they can go really well with some of your other Turtles action figures, because the Turtles have a ton of adventures and a ton of iterations. And so it's not really unheard of for them to have different sizes and different shapes and all this different stuff that would normally look odd together. But with the Turtles, like, pretty much anything goes. And so, you know, there's that. And they mix really well with pretty much any other Hasbro 6-inch action figure line. So really, if you're just an adult action figure collector, chances are you've got a line that this can go with. Or if you just wanted to buy these, you're going to be good. So if you're a Power Rangers fan and want more Mighty Morphin Power Ranger variants, then these will not disappoint. If you're a Turtles fan and you want more Turtles in different costumes, then again, these will not disappoint. Or if you've been patiently waiting for NECA to get to a mainline IDW TMNT set of figures, then with the alternate heads, the unhelmeted heads, these might be the closest thing you can get to that, at least to tide you over until NECA starts making their way to that side of the property, I guess. But still, I think these will tide you over pretty nicely. All right, that's going to do it for me today. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, hit the like button. If you want to see more from me, hit subscribe. And let me know in the comments, did you like the books that these figures were based on? Are you a fan of these types of mashups? What's another property you want to see the Turtles mash up with, and not just like, team up with, but like literally mash up with? And if you want to hear me talk about the Ninja Turtles even more, be sure to check out my podcast, Turtle Soup, where my friend Ryan and I have been talking about the Ninja Turtles for like 300 something episodes. And we are just now getting to the tail end of the next mutation review that we've been doing, where we do like in-depth analysis and just dissecting the whole thing episode by episode, and really been enjoying it. And so if that sounds like something you'd be interested in or want to just know more about, or whatever the case may be, head on over to turtlesoupshow.com or find us where you listen to podcasts, or just look for us here on YouTube because we're here. And until then, else time.